Okay, can we start now?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, who can answer me? Okay, is are you there? Is Ilham? I can see your
Yeah,
name.
I'm here.
So because I know everyone cannot answer at one time, so you can hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I'm going because I hope all your members are here, or at least every group member is here. Okay, because I know some of them are not in this group because I can see only 57 of them basically. Okay, so because once I start sharing the screen, I cannot be admitting anymore. So if any members could not come in, you please let them know whatever that we have discussed. Okay. Okay, I will share my screen now. Okay, on and off, can you all please, maybe ease of anyone, you can unmute and say if I have any questions, or if you need to ask me any questions, please unmute yourself and you can raise your question, okay, while I'm presenting, okay? So please manage yourself in terms of who's, I mean, if few people asking at the same time, please manage yourself, okay? Give time to another member to ask questions, yeah? Okay. Hold on. Can you all see anything? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So let me go. Okay. So I believe all of you already seen this group project question. Okay. So today's meeting is all about our group project. So it is 20%. Okay. So today's discussion is only between group 6 and group 7 tutorial. Okay. And there is a requirement that the group members from the same tutorial group. Okay, so please don't cross tutorial groups to form your groups. Okay, and also please double check the list that I have given in your Telegram to ensure that you are registered for the correct tutorial group. If you are group 6, your name is there, then you can be in this group and form the group. Okay, so I will double check after today's briefing. Okay, and maybe I'll give another 2 days, and then I want to look at your final grouping. Okay, and make sure that you are in the right group. Okay, so first thing is part A. Okay, the group project is 20%. Okay, it's divided to part A, B, C, and D. Okay, so part A, basically you have to come up with your own questionnaire. So from previous experience, okay, students prefer to use online surveys. Okay, and I think in the current situation, it is fine. All of you can use online surveys. But I need the title. I think I told you by last week, right? I will, because some of you still have not sent me any proposed title, except few of you already written in the group project list. Okay, you already put in the Excel sheet. So if I will go through after this. Okay, by end of the week, I will just put OK at the side. That means you can proceed. But so far, I saw there is no overlapping, so that is fine. Okay. So my suggestion is when you come up with a topic, at least you must have two variables that you want to measure. For example, okay, how does usage of mobile phone has impact on the students' academic performance? So when you have two different issues that you want to see the relationship, that would be a better way of analyzing, because you will have more things to analyze. Okay, so make sure at least you have two different variables. That means you want to see the usage of telephone on students' academic performance, for example. Okay, like this can network security awareness among students, but I only can see that you're going to talk about the network security awareness, but what are the issues that you want to explore within the network security awareness? Okay, so it's good to have two different variables. Like what else? For example, um, the number, okay, just say social media, involvement in social media activities or social media activities on your academic performance, or on your how to say social life. Okay, so you can see there are two different variables here. Okay, I'm not saying that this one you cannot, but Of course you can, but make sure when you are doing the survey, you are looking at different impacts, how one issue affects another issue. Okay, that will be more interesting than you just seeing, okay, how many of them are using mobile phone, how many of them are female, how many of them male. I mean, you can't analyze much actually in statistics. Are you all with me?
Yes.
Okay. So any questions so far? What I'm saying about this title? Any questions?
No.
Okay, if no, I will just proceed. You can just write down your questions and maybe towards the end you can ask me, all right? Okay, part B, you must identify and specify what is your research objective and your research question. Okay, I would suggest research objective and research question, you can just have maximum 3. Okay, 3 research objective and 3 research questions. Okay, please also go and Google a bit lah, what is research objective. Okay, research objective, usually you will have the verb, you know, the words, the terms which are verb. For example, to investigate something something something. Okay, to measure something, right? So you can see the words that we use for research objective. Normally it should be measurable and it will be a verb. Okay, to investigate, to explore, to measure, to identify, to formulate, you know, things like that. So make sure when you are writing the research objective, Google a bit, see what is the way of writing research objective. So maximum 3 should be fine. Okay, and this research objective should be an overall purpose of your survey. That means at the end, when you make a conclusion, you must say that, okay, we through this finding, we have successfully addressed or fulfilled the objective of this study. So you answer back all your 3 objectives. Okay, and then make sure you have research questions. Okay, it's question, that means must have a question mark. Okay, you have 3 different research questions. The best thing is there should be some kind of mapping. First, come up with the research question. You will understand research based on what problem you want to actually investigate. Okay, then come up with the research question, 3 research questions, and then map it to 3 different research objectives. Okay, that will be much easier. Usually your research question, your problem statement, your objective should be related. It cannot be something different from each other. Okay. And then part B is analyze the data by executing the appropriate statistical tests. Okay, what is statistical? Okay, here statistical test is the different tests that you're going to see from lecture 5 onwards. Okay, lecture 5 onwards, we are going to do on statistics already, no more probability. Okay, so in statistics, for example, you'll be going to look at what is descriptive statistics, what is correlation coefficient, what is regression, what is ANOVA. Okay, so I want you all to use each of these statistical tests accordingly. The more tests you use, the better it is, you get more marks. Okay, my suggestion is try to create a scenario so that you at least use different tests. Okay, like for example, of course, those who use 5 different tests will get higher mark than someone who used 3 different tests. Okay, because I want to see varieties. That means as you learn the lectures in our lectures and the lecture notes, as we introduce you more statistical tests, we would like you to use in your project. Okay, so the more you use, the better it is. Okay, for presentation medium and finding, the style all you have 5 marks, Q&A handling 5 marks. So most probably I will be having some kind of session where I will give a timing, most probably Google Meet or Zoom, depends. So I will give you a timing for presentation. Most probably you have to record your presentation and send it over to me first. Okay, I think Dr. Ho also doing the same thing. Okay, record your presentation and send it over to me. As I look through your presentation and everything, I will have some questions. I will set a meeting and you come together with your group during that meeting day online and you answer the questions that I ask you. Okay, will that be fine?
So the presentation is done without you?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm afraid we have some issues of while students were presenting the network problem. Okay, so I want to avoid these issues. So I don't want the issue of while you're presenting and then another group is waiting, you know, so we don't want this. So what we want to do is you present, you record, and then you send it to us. And I mean, send it to me for group 6 and 7, you send it to me. I will give you a link where you can upload, okay? And then I will set a timing, presentation time, but that is not for your presentation actually, that is for your Q&A. Okay, I will just call you all for Q&A, which is 5 marks. Okay, so the Q&A will be based on basically on your report and also your slides that you presented. Okay, and all the members have to be there. Okay, will that be fine? Or you want to online?
Wait, sorry, what? What did you say online?
No, will it be fine, pre-record and send your presentation, or you all want to present it live?
I don't mind doing live.
It will be fine.
Pre-record better, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, because at least you can ensure that we don't have the other issues, you know. Yeah, we had that kind of problems before, so I want to avoid that. You pre-record your slides, and then we have a Q&A session live. I mean, sorry, we pre-record your presentation and submit, and after looking at it, I will give you a timing for Q&A session live. So you only come live with me for the Q&A session. Okay? All right. And part B.
Doctor, I have one question for
Yes.
Is there like a format of how we're gonna structure the slides?
Basically in the slides you have to put in these things which whatever which is in your report. Okay, can I come up with the guideline for your presentation a bit later?
Okay, Ken. No
Okay,
problem.
so it'll be a bit more standard. Okay, wait, let me write it down. So you want some kind of guideline for presentation. I'll get it and then I'll share it with you all. Okay, for the report, so basically not more than 10 pages. Please try to follow that. Okay, nothing beyond 10 pages, excluding cover and reference. Of course, cover and reference you can add on. No plagiarism. Okay, I forbid plagiarism. Please don't copy from anywhere. Okay, based on the topic proposed by students to be submitted before week 13 and week 14 online submission. Okay, a report is online submission, that is 10 marks, right? Because they are usually, I will ask students in your presentation slides, you can put in interesting information, right? Interesting graphs or very interesting findings that you want to put in, because when you do statistics analysis, you will do so many tests that not everything will be interesting. You know, some will be just like to inform, okay, what's the percentage of this, what is the percentage of that, you know, but that is not that interesting, you know, because those are just facts, but there's nothing interesting there in terms of what is the relationship with gender and whatever that you are looking at, right? So in slides, try to highlight things which are interesting, okay, something that is different or something that you think it is new, which answers your research objective. Okay, something that supports your research objective. Please keep in mind, when you come up with a research objective for a study, the reason you're doing statistical tests is to see whether your objective is achieved or not. Okay, you do a test to kind of support your research objective. So for example, A, B, C, this is your research objective. So is my experiment support that objective? Okay, that is how the whole, I mean, a study is. Okay, when you do a survey, the reason is for you have a problem that you want to find out. Okay, what is the relationship between this and that? Okay, then you come up with the research objective. Once you come up with a research objective, what do you do? How do you prove that this objective is true or not true? So you will come up with your hypothesis. Okay, I will talk about hypothesis after this. Okay, but after hypothesis, what do? Is you do the test. Okay, so the test has to be suitable with the hypothesis that you are that you have written. Okay, so I will show what is hypothesis. Did Dr. Ho explain about hypothesis?
No.
Oh, not yet. Okay, never mind, because it comes under statistics, but nothing wrong for you all to explore earlier what is hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis, basically you want to, I will show you one example. I actually brought along one previous report that you can just have a look. Okay. All right. In your Part D report, do you mind if I exit first and I admit? I think some of them are waiting.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I, okay. Can see my PDF?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So part D. So make sure in your report you put in these things. Okay. Introduction, problem statement. Okay. You have to write what is problem statement. Problem statement can be just 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. What is the problem that you want to find out, to investigate? Okay. And then what? And then you come up with objective. Aim and objective is the same. Okay. Then you come up with your research objective. And I think, yeah, research question is here. Okay. Discuss your research method, what method is used, what sampling techniques. All these we will be going through in our lecture slides. You can see in our lecture slides or our live lecture later on. We will talk about different sampling techniques. So you have to decide how you want to do the sampling. Okay, for example, you might say, okay, I'm going to do online survey. You're going to say, I'm just going to share with all your contacts. But if it's all your contacts, the type of sampling you're using is called convenience sampling. Okay, convenience sampling is usually not that reliable. Okay, so I would suggest please do not use convenience sampling. That means what is convenient to you, you do. Then you will never get a reliable results, because you are giving to people who you know, people that you can access fast. Okay, so most probably your results will not be that reliable, because most of them might have the same background. Most probably all of them from computer science. If you're doing something related to ICT, just say, or security awareness, how to say, cyber security awareness or things like that. If your friends are all ICT people and you are going to take sample from them, it is going to be a biased results, isn't it? So that is why your sampling technique should be something that is reliable. There are many types of sampling techniques, okay, which we will be going through in our studies. You can even Google beforehand to see what are the different techniques. So choose something that is reliable. Okay, every method that you choose when you write in your report, please mention why do you choose that. Okay, by doing that, how your results will be more reliable, more trustable. Okay, and shouldn't, every time you do any statistic analysis or evaluation, you always have to avoid any kind of biased results. Okay. All right. So, and then you must have your hypothesis. Okay. And results for each hypothesis, discussion and conclusion. Okay. And then you can add your appendix. Appendix, you can add your questionnaire, but I suggest no need. Yeah, you can give, or you just give me the link also, it's fine. Okay. Okay, so please cite all your claims, justification. If anywhere you took from anywhere, please paraphrase it. If you're taking something from somewhere, you have to paraphrase it. Paraphrase it means you rewrite on your using your own words. Don't copy paste. Okay, even if you paraphrase it, you must do citation. Okay, make sure you cite whatever claims or whatever that you read from a paper. You have to cite them. Okay, if you decide to take from there. Okay, the members should be from the same tutorial group. Each group only 5 or 6 members. I did see some groups only got 4 members. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to look through again. For those who did not put who is the leader, please put in the bracket who is the leader. If not, by default, I'm just take the first name as the leader. Okay, in fact, I already put down, okay, the people, those who didn't write anything, I just put the first person as leader. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to the another document now. Anything you want to ask in this document? Anyone?
Doctor, in the questionnaire, is there anything that is compulsory that we have to add? For example, like gender.
Okay.
We have to
All
put
right.
that.
I will go to that after this. Okay. About question. What else? Anything else? Okay. If not, I will go to this one. Okay. This is an example. I think I don't think so. Dr. Ho shared this because I prepared this last time once. Okay. I just want to give you some intro on questionnaire. Okay, sample questions. Okay, in questionnaire, usually we ask, okay, about whether you want to ask gender and all. It's not compulsory, okay? If it's not necessary, don't ask. Okay, don't ask things like email, name. I think it's unnecessary. And you must, what is compulsory is at the heading, you must always declare, like you will not use whatever information given here, publish it or anything. It is strictly will be used only for analysis purpose for this particular course. Okay, make sure you write that on the heading for the survey. Okay. And then in the survey question, don't ask any personal things, okay, like name, IC, email, contact address. I think we don't need all that, okay? And we don't want to put people into they want to answer or don't want to answer. So make it simple so that they don't want to answer those things, okay? Because you have other things that they need to focus on. For example, the sample questions you can ask is a question like yes or no, scale kind of question. For example, strongly disagree, strongly agree. Open-ended question, that means you have a question and then they're supposed to write down the answers. Or objective question with fixed answers. Okay, for this statistic, yes or no, please limit this kind of questions because you can't do much with this kind of question. Okay, yes or no, do you like to use social media? Yes or no. What do you actually, you can't do much, with this kind of data. You only can do descriptive statistics with this. That means you can say how many percent said this, how many percent said that, and that is not that interesting. Yes, you can ask, but please limit it. Please ask which will actually make some interesting relationship with other kind of questions. For example, scale kind of questions will be the one I will encourage you to prepare a lot. Okay, where the students agree, how to say, strongly agree or disagree. So there is some kind of scale because these scales usually have a value, right? Like you give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And these values later on you can use when you are calculating correlation, regression, and ANOVA. So try to have more scale kind of questions. Okay. Not only strongly disagree and agree, they have different types, right? Correct? Not only strongly disagree. I'm sure you have seen a lot of survey questions. Okay, not only strongly agree. There are many types, but use the scale type. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But try to avoid odd number because students like to take not only students, respondents always like to take the middle value, neutral. So try to avoid having a neutral choice. Don't give a neutral choice. Okay? Because if you have a neutral choice, usually you can't make any kind of decisions usually. So try to have a scale an even number, okay? Like 4 or 6. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 is too little. Open-ended question you can, but very kind of a bit of difficult to analyze. So ask few, that would do. Okay, ask few only, that would do, right? Okay, any question on this, on sample questions? Do you understand what I mean by scale?
Yes.
Okay, try to
Yes.
more scale. Please, I'm reminding you about all this because I don't want last minute you say, doctor, I only put yes or no, and then you don't have much data to analyze. That at that time you cannot be doing another survey and sending it to people. Okay, so make sure you have a lot of scale kind of question and also a mix of yes or no question. Okay. So below an example of question you can ask about the demographic data. Demographic data is things like your gender, race, things, which country you're from or which state you're from, okay? How many members in your family or things like that, right? So these are just some questions, but I'm not going to really go through this because the question, you can always come up with this question. Let me see. Okay. please also have a look at your course info. So if you see your course info from week 5, we will start on intro to stats. Okay, I will be coming to class for intro to stats. And then week 6, 7, we will be giving you some manuals, okay, from SPSS manual or some videos for you to try. Okay, descriptive statistics also is important. So basically this chapter 5, intro to statistics, you have to go through that. Descriptive statistics, okay, which will be very useful for your group project, okay. And then if you're using SPSS, of course, please try the manual. And then what else? Okay, you will have inferential statistics, okay, and then we'll go through regression and correlation. So main, and of course parametric statistics, okay. Actually, these are all the for all of these, they are statistical tests that you can do for each of these different topics, okay, which we will go through in the class. So another issue is what software you want to use, okay. In the class, we are going to introduce SPSS. Okay, I'm not sure about other Dr. Vimala or what, but for Dr. Ho's class, we will be introducing SPSS. But it is not a requirement that you must use SPSS. Okay, but I was informed by previous student that you can have a free access to SPSS online if you install it, but it's only for 1 month or so. Okay. So you can use only for 1 month, but maybe you can kind of share with your friends and see, take turns in installing or what. If not, please be, you can use any software. You can use R programming. Okay, R programming also is quite easy. You can, because they have built-in functions, so you can easily do statistical analysis with R programming. Okay, or if you want to use Python, that is fine too. Okay, but maybe if you want to explore open source, why don't you try R programming? It's quite easy as well. And maybe you can check out if there's any software similar to SPSS, which is open source, you can try as well. Okay, there is no compulsory software that you must use. Okay. Okay, so I'm just letting you know why. It's because some of you don't look at your course information. So I'm just letting you know that your group project is very much aligned to the topics that we are going to cover in your lectures. Okay. All right. So any questions so far before I go to the sample report?
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
So for the programming language that we're gonna use, in my and there is this platform, actually language called SAS, and we can do some statistical analysis for that. It's some kind of similar to SPSS.
Because SAS is also a paid, it's a licensed software, but students can.
Yeah, but is providing us this license. We can download it in
Okay.
my
Okay, then please try to explore it. Okay, because I don't have any restriction as long as you use any statistical tool or test that is relevant to the study. It is fine with me. Okay, but you can always check with us in the Telegram group. So let us all also be aware of that, so that we also can try that. Okay.
Okay, doctor, sure.
Thank you. Anything else?
Doctor, like you said, we should not ask like questions like gender and name, something like that, right?
Not to say you shouldn't. Gender usually is okay if you want.
Yeah, because like sometimes if we want to differentiate like one respondent and another, so we need certain data, like we need to ask, right? Something like
Yeah.
so it's fine for like name, gender, and things like that.
Can. No, gender all is fine. That is called demographic data. Okay.
Okay.
Gender is called demographic data, right? You can ask info that this one. This kind of things you can ask. Demographic data you can ask. It's just that we don't want to ask their name and their email if can, like any personal thing. Unless you really need, but usually we don't need that. Gender is fine.
All right. Thank you, doctor.
Anything? Anything else? Okay, if not, I'll just show you the other one. Oh, someone's coming in. You can still see my screen, right? Can you?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, this is just one sample. Okay, a student who they have done on receptive and usage of payable apps among students. So if you can see table of content talked about intro, problem statement, objective, research method, research question, hypothesis. Okay, these are the different tests that they have done. Okay, for example, t-test, ANOVA test, post-hoc test, correlation, regression. Mann-Whitney and Kruskal-Wallis are these two tests. They actually come under non-parametric tests. Okay, these two are under the non-parametric test. Okay, Mann-Whitney and Kruskal-Wallis. So they are different tests. Because basically, I encourage you all to try different tests. So there's an intro, problem statement, and then objective, research. I'm not telling this the best, huh? I just took one example for you all, okay? Because I don't really agree with this way of writing. To study, to study is not a good objective, right? So research method, okay? How you want to do the research. You can talk about your sampling and all. Research question. Okay, here are some of the questions. This is a lot actually. In my case, I asked you all to do only 3. Okay, this is actually what I wanted to show you. This is called hypothesis. Okay, you can have many hypotheses. That means every different test, okay, every different statistical test that you're going to do, you usually will have one hypothesis. So here they mentioned about 5 hypotheses, okay, because they highlighted 5 different tests. For example, hypothesis 1. If you know this, if you have done stats before, you know what is a null hypothesis and what is an alternative hypothesis. Okay, every test usually should have a null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. In a null hypothesis, usually you say that there is no difference between any 2 things that you're measuring. Okay, in the alternative is the one you would say, okay, there is a difference. Okay, so of course, when you do the statistical test, I don't want to confuse you now by telling all the other terms like p-value and all. When you have, there's a way for you to say when you accept a null hypothesis or when you reject a null hypothesis. Okay, so when you do a statistical test, you have to kind of interpret that result, saying that, okay, because this p-value is less than this, we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So this will be rejected and you accept that there is a significant difference between amount of spending and gender, for example. Okay. So, but don't worry, we will be going through this, but I'm just giving you a picture before even you start doing it. Okay. Maybe you can start exploring what is hypothesis. For me, hypothesis, you must have these 2. You must have a null hypothesis and you must have an alternate. Null hypothesis is always about there is no difference. Okay. Because when you have not proven anything statistically, you always say that there's no difference. Okay, unless there is enough proof through statistical test, you can say that, okay, one is different from the other. Okay, if not, you cannot. Okay, similar, like for example, just say in a medical research, you have a medication. Okay, you want to know whether the medication is effective in curing a disease or not. Your null hypothesis will always be it's not effective. Okay, because without doing a test, you cannot say that it is effective, correct or not? So that is why your alternative will say that, yes, this medication is effective in healing XYZ disease. Okay, so for that, researchers, what they will do a lot of statistical tests in order to prove that the null hypothesis, which is H, can be rejected. So when this can be rejected, then they say, okay, now we can accept that alternative hypothesis is true, which is it is effective. Do you get the idea? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, do you get an idea? But don't worry, on and off, I'm sure you will still some of you won't really get what I'm saying, but you can always ask in the Telegram group. I can always reply in the Telegram group as well, okay? So, or you can write down all your hypotheses in a list and then you send it to me. Doctor, can you all check for me whether my hypothesis is correct or not? I suggest try to do hypotheses for different tests. Different tests got different way of writing the hypothesis, okay? For example, just say hypothesis 1, there is no difference about the amount of spending between different genders. I think this is about spending time, is it? Okay, and then the alternative, there is a significant difference between the amount of time spending and the gender. Let's see, got any table or not. Okay, this one. So this student have done a T. This is called student t-test. Hold on, yeah. They done a t-test, and this is the same null and alternative hypothesis. They use a t-test to see whether alternate the null can be rejected or not. So for this hypothesis, we decide to use t-test because there are only two groups to be chosen from gender. T-test used here is independent test. There are many types: independent, dependent. These t-tests help us to compare whether two groups have different average values. The significant value, okay. These values usually we will take from the table itself, okay. Let's see. So the significant value here is less than 0.05. Where do you look at this 0.05? Actually, it's here. Let me show you. If you're using SPSS, it will be under here. SIG two-tail test. So if you see, it is 0.047, which is kind of borderline. Okay. So it is less than 0.05. Hence, we can reject the null hypothesis. There is a significant difference between the game and the gender. Game, let me see. Yeah, this one is about game. Between the game and the gender, I think it's about app. Okay, they're looking at how they spend time on in a specific app, a game, and how it is related to a gender. Okay, so they do a t-test, they get a results like this. Okay, this is the p-value that you see. If less than 0.05, you can reject. If this value is more than 0.05, you will say that hence because p-value is more than 0.05, hence we cannot reject the null hypothesis. So if you cannot reject this null hypothesis, you have to accept. Okay, you should say hence we have to accept the null hypothesis, which is there is no difference between the game and the type of gender. Okay, that is how you do conclusion from a statistical test. Okay, so this is just some overview on how we are going to do. Okay, see, this is another hypothesis. The student use ANOVA test and post hoc test. Okay, so put in the result, put in the hypothesis, put in the results. Even if you don't copy paste the results, okay, but you have to mention whether you accept or you reject the null hypothesis. Okay, correlation. This is another test using correlation. This student use SPSS. Okay, correlation test, regression. Okay, regression. There is no difference between amount of spending and gender. Okay, and then they did some kind of regression test. Okay, we will go through regression as well. Okay, during class. So don't worry about that. Mann-Whitney is our non-parametric test. Okay, you must go and find out what is parametric test, what is non-parametric test. There is a criteria, you know, if the way you collected data, if the data is independent of each other, then you can use parametric test. But that's not the only criteria. Please go and look what is parametric test, what is non-parametric test. Okay, parametric test usually they're independent, they are random and things like that. Non-parametric is a bit different. Okay, but I just ask students just try to see whether you get different results or not. Okay, so this Kuskawali's test. There's so many other tests actually. Just the students just chose few. Okay, and then appendix they just put these are the simplest descriptive statistic. Descriptive is basically you are telling how many percent, but usually that is not that interesting. Okay, these things I look at it, but it is very minimal. Okay, because you know those things are easy, right? The maximum you can ask is what is the percentage. But I want you all to learn things like this. Okay, correlation, regression, okay, ANOVA, t-test. Okay, that is more important. So from time to time, I'll be explaining on how you can, how to say, interpret results. Okay, how you interpret results when you run a test. Okay, so anything you want to ask on this? Or you want to have a look at anything? Can I stop sharing?
Doctor, I have a question about the group assignment, the team members, because my team only has 4 people inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
and some teams got 5.
seven?
I'm in tutorial 6.
Okay, never mind. Okay, I will give time until tomorrow. Okay, or I think most of you all are here. Can you all finalize your group members by today? So tomorrow what I will do, I will double check whether the members are all okay or not, you know, the grouping. If doesn't need to change, if other groups are already full, what I will do, you all can carry on with 4 people. Is that fine?
Sure, no problem, doctor.
Okay, all right. I will try to see, because sometimes you can't avoid, but I will just look through. Unless there are very few members, then I will try to put them in different groups. Okay, but I think 4 is still all right. But I of course I don't want many groups with 4 people. Okay, I will still look at the number of groups. Okay, so can you all try to come up with your title by end of this week? Discuss with your members. Come up with the title by end of this week.
Doctor,
Yes.
will you share the sample proposal with us?
Which one? This report?
The sample one.
Sorry, I can't share the report, okay? Because report is just to give you all an idea, okay? Because if I give that, I'm afraid we won't have much of a discussions and things like that, okay? Don't worry, we will go through the class. We will have a discussion on and off. And if you all want to do a separate online session with me, you can as well, okay? Maybe as a group, you want to do an appointment, fix an appointment with me outside the class time. Please just PM me, personal message me, say, Doctor, can we have a discussion? Okay, and then you show me you present to me your results or your findings so far, and then we can have a online face-to-face meeting with just your group. Is that fine?
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, because if I give you all, I'm going to kill your creativity. Okay, I'm going to give you all, and then you all are just going to follow exactly like that. Okay, which is not good. Okay, so I don't mind you fix appointment with me. We have one-to-one discussion, and I explain to you, and you can come up with your own diagrams and whatever that test that you think you want to do. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
Doctor,
Yeah.
what's the minimum number for question minus the question about demography?
There's no minimum and maximum. I'm not going to really set a minimum and maximum. I only can advise you this when you look at some guidelines on how you want to do an online survey, because you want people not to like get very fed up with answering online surveys. It's not easy to get people to answer surveys. So at least you can keep straight to the point. Okay, that is why before you do survey, I will always advise you to come up with the hypothesis. Okay, if you come up with a hypothesis, you will roughly know what data actually you want from the people. And then, don't ask things that you don't want, because at the end of the day, you will just collect data, but you don't use. Okay, so try to keep it as simple as possible. That's why I ask you to increase the scale kind of question, because the scale kind of question will have more data that you can collect. Okay, so don't rush to do your survey by putting all kind of questions inside. Okay, because we want to minimize the time that the person is going to use to answer your survey. At the same time, you want to make sure that whatever that you are collecting is useful to you. Okay, because I'm not going to look at your quantity of data you're going to collect. You know, I want to see at the end your tests that you did, what kind of data that you collected to answer your objective. Okay, because you should know, when you create an objective, you have a problem in mind. You are saying that I want to, through this survey, I want to study this. Okay, I want to see what is the relationship between this thing and the other thing. So if you have that problem or issue that you want to investigate in your mind, you also should identify what kind of data will be useful to me, right? If demographic is not useful at all, if their age, or maybe how many years they are in the university, what faculty, what department, if that is not useful to you, then don't ask. Okay, so only put things that is useful, because I'm not going to look at your survey later on and say, oh, why you didn't ask this question. It's not that. Okay, I want you to be able to decide what question I need for me to be able to do the test that I want to do. Okay, so now itself try to decide, I want to get to see the relationship between, for example, okay, the amount of sleep they are getting and how it's affecting their studies. Okay, I want to see the relationship between that. So I don't mind asking many questions in relation to their sleep. Okay, how long they sleep, or do they have a disturbed sleep, and then how do they perform in their studies, you know. Don't ask metric number all, but at least you can know, okay, do they do they have sleeping problem, or do they have stress issues, or do they how did they perform in their academic, okay, above 3 or less than 3, you know, or above 2 or less than 2. You can ask these kind of questions, okay, so that you can see the relationship between them. If you really think that the data is not useful to you, don't ask. Okay, no need to ask. That's all I can tell, because some of them tend to do long surveys, not necessary. Okay, ask things which you really need, but don't limit too much, then later you don't have any data. That is why always a safe thing, make sure you have your scale. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, you are. Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks for asking. Okay, anything else? Anything else? Maybe I can take one more question, then we end the call. But please feel free to always discuss in Telegram, okay? Because when you share, others can learn as well. Unless if you really think that's not relevant to others, then you can privately message me in the Telegram. If you can, like, if not, just email, okay? Okay, I can take one more question. Any questions? No, huh? Okay, wait, let me see. Someone type here. What I understand is we ask 3 questions to respondent, then upload the results in software that we choose. For example, what I understand is we ask 3 questions to respondent, then upload the results in software. Azwa, can you please explain to me what is it about? I don't really get what you are saying. Azwa? Yeah.
Hello, Doctor. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Because I heard that you told us we need to have 3 research questions. What does that mean?
Okay, research question. No, research questions is, okay, any kind of research you are doing, because basically what you're doing in statistics now is, that's how researchers work. Okay, that's how researchers, or when you're exploring something, when you're developing an algorithm, this is what you do. Okay, you must have a problem in mind. Okay, when you come up with the title, you actually want to get to know more about some issues. That is why you are doing this survey. You want to know, for example, you want to see how people, sleep, how to say, how people's activity in social media affects their studies. You want to know that there is a problem in people couldn't concentrate in their lessons or something because of the activities in social media. So that is the problem that you think exists. So now you want to investigate. So for that, first you must come up with research questions. Okay, research questions can be a question to know more about that issue. Okay. Okay, this one, let me see if I have an example here. Let me first check whether this is a good one or not. Okay. This is not a research question. Okay. We have used. This is not a research question. This is wrong. Okay. This is not a research question. Let me try to see whether I can Google for you all or not. Oh, you all not seeing my screen, right? Sorry. Are you all seeing my screen?
No, doctor.
Oh, okay.
No, Doctor.
Because just now I opened up the sample. So the sample does not have a proper research question. Okay. Let me see if I can find any examples. Okay, you see, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Can you see the screen about the, you can answer a good question. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is just an example, okay? A good research question, for example, what factors affects people's belief in high power? So, okay, let's think of it. What factors affect the students' performance in their university in an academic life? For example, that is a research question. If that is what you want to study, okay, anyone can suggest, okay, who already have a title? Maybe you can think and ask me now if that is a good research question. Can you think of any research question for your title? Anyone?
Doctor, for
Yes.
my group, we suggested the title, The Impact of Smartphone Screen on Time on Our Quality of Sleep.
Okay. So you try to think of one research question for that.
Can we phrase it as a question like, what is the impact of screen on time on our quality of sleep?
You can say what. So research question can have a few types. What is the most basic thing? Second level will be how. Okay, why. So you try to your research question try to have all three. How, what, sorry, you start with what. So usually what will be, what factors affect. Okay, now the next one will be how. Okay, how does these factors affect academic performance or something like that. I'm just giving you in general, but try to have a combination of what, how, and why. So these three questions will help you to come up with your research objective actually.
Oh, I see. Thank you,
You
Doctor.
see what factors affect students' performance in university. Okay, and then you can come up with the research objective saying that to identify a pattern in social media usage to see how it affects. So you try to relate your first research question with your first objective, second research question with your second objective, third research question, third objective. Like what you're saying is first one, you say what factors. And then in your research objective, identify the factors. Okay, something like that. Does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.
Sure.
Yes.
Azwa, answer your question, Azwa.
Yes, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Right, let me see. At least how many respondents do we need? Okay. Difficult to ask this. Can I tell you, for now, try to spread as much as possible. I think compared to how many, what is more important is how are you going to, who will be your respondent? That will be a more important question to ask. Okay. So that is why I asked you to go and read a little bit of sampling. Okay. There are different types of sampling. Okay. This sampling, you can have the whole faculty of computer science answering your questionnaire, but is it reliable? I'm asking you. Who's that actually asked me that question? May I know your name, please? The one who asked about how many respondents we need. Hello? Are you there?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So you asked me how many respondents you need, right? So I'm asking you a question. If we take the whole faculty of computer science students to answer your survey, do you think it is reliable?
Like for example, my topics is maybe it's about the relationship between the personality types and the CGPA among students.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter with which department actually.
Okay. So you can take from different okay, it doesn't really matter as long as they're students, right? In your case?
Yeah.
Okay. But I would suggest you try to get from various different faculties just to reduce the biasness in terms that your respondents are all with ICT background. Okay. So when you say students, unless you say you want to particularly study on ICT students, then it's different. You can take all from ICT. But if you say students of UM or students in general, then the best thing to do is for you to take few samples from different faculties. I'm not talking about ICT, FSKTM, That means in this case, when you say UM student, who are UM students? Not only Faculty of Computer Science, right? They should come from various faculties. So that it will be a good sampling method. Maybe you at least take 10 from different faculties or 15 from different faculties. That is better than you taking everyone from ICT. Okay, so this is what I want you to justify in your statistics report later on, how you did your sampling, right? You can have a small set of numbers, but you can convince us that I made sure that the respondents come from different faculties to ensure there is no biasness in the results that I got. That is more important than you are getting 1,000 or 2,000 respondents. So I'm just trying to highlight to all of you the importance of collecting samples properly rather than focusing on how many numbers you want to get. That is why I don't want to give you a number. I don't want to say, okay, get 500, because you can get all 500, but if all of them is someone you know, your data is actually very unreliable. Okay, because you are not doing a proper sampling. Okay, so please, when you are doing I'm not worried about the numbers, but of course you must have like at least more than 80 like that. Okay, but try to get from various respondents suitable to your title. Okay, make sure it's suitable to your title. If you're talking about UM students, then logically I'm speaking, it should come from various departments and various faculties. Okay, if you're talking in general about Malaysia, then you cannot focus only in UM students. Okay, so that is why try to set your scope properly. If UM student and UM students, try to cover UM students from different faculties and try to avoid to only do faculty-based studies. Okay, because now after I told this, most of you will say, okay lah, I do survey only with Faculty of Computer Science. Please don't do that. Okay, please don't do that. I'm sure you have other groups, right? Groups of friends or families or whatever. So based on that, you all see what is the most relevant to you. At the same, although you want to make things easier, but also please always, it has to run in your mind that whatever decision I'm making for this project should be producing a reliable results. That means you should be able to say that, okay, doctor, I chose this method of sampling because I find this is reliable. Okay, why reliable? Because you covered this, covered that, you took people from different groups. Okay, so you can do that way. Then make sure you justify for every action you have done. Okay, so at that point, even if you're less students, I won't ask, hey, why you only got 50 students? I won't. Because you have done a proper way of collecting the data, which is more important than the numbers. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Okay, let me move to the next one. When we can start creating the question? Now? Anytime. Which question you're asking? Survey question or research question? Who's that? Danis? Are you there?
Yes, madam, the survey
Okay.
questions.
Which question you're asking? Survey, is it?
Yes.
Yes, survey questions you already can create. So now that I've given you some ideas, some do's and don'ts, so you can start doing and start. Of course, I want to look at your title first. Have you all decided your title?
We got a title.
Okay, can you all please update all your titles by when? Okay, I'll give you all time until Friday. Please put your titles there, and I will mark at the side okay. If I say okay, that means you can proceed with the title. Is that fine? Okay.
Yes, Ken.
All right. Okay, so I'll wait until Friday because some of you all are still finalizing. But group members, I want you all to finalize by tonight. Okay. Please don't wait long because I need the groups to already start working on their project. So by tonight, group member list must be updated. The leader name should be there. Okay, put in your bracket leader. By Friday, please give me the title, Saturday, I already will respond okay or not. Okay? Agreed? Okay. Can I end the call now? If you don't have any other questions.
Yes.
Okay. So I hope this session was useful. So we can do other sessions outside our classes or even during our tutorial class. My tutorial class, I will have students from different groups. Never mind. We can try to arrange other sessions if if you guys really want to. Okay. So just get it started. If you want me to roughly look at your survey, you can send it to me. Okay, I will have a look. If I can comment, I will just give some comments. But please follow whatever that I already told you during this meeting. Okay, try to follow that, right? And then yeah, and that's all. Okay, so all the best. Okay, so if nothing, I will end the call now. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Doctor.